Welcome to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. Thinking about those days back in primary school when you drew everything on that you dreamt about on the table and you ate those crayons. What we'd like you to do now is to express yourself again and do all those goodies in your lifetime today. Well, we have a special guest this evening who is doing just that. My good son. But before we do that, we want you to pause, think about it with intentional thought, and consider where we go from here. We want you to join our co-sponsors, Page Investment Limited and Dom Dev Enterprises Limited, and our friends at D1 Development, Islandese, and Sammy's Chicken. Share, like and follow, and tell us where you are in the world, what you like to do, any old goodies that you want to put to this good gentleman here in front of me today. And we will be right back after this message.
Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles.
Welcome back to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. As we mentioned this earlier, that we're going to have a special talk this evening. But we also like you to know that we want you to have fun on the show. And so we ask that what you do is you jot down in the post on page and let us all know what you're thinking and what you would like us to talk about. And we will endeavor to do those things. So welcome to Something to Think About, Dev himself, Dominique Knowles, part of the Dom Dev duo. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So what part of the world are you in today?
Today I'm in France. And yesterday I was in Switzerland, so I just got back.
Wow.
From Basel.
Boy, that's living a good life for sure. So Dom, you have been one who has been a sportsman, a champion sportsman. You've been you're a digital native, if I remember. You're in the Z, right? You're in the Z generation. You're not in the Y. Anyway, no, whichever one is.
Millennials.
Huh? You're a millennial? Oh, you're the last of them. So. Yeah, so anyway, we didn't worry about that. But anyway, you're young. And you also love animals. And you're an artist by trade. Anything else you want to add to that picture to say what you are, other than to be a real thinker?
No.
Reader, leader, knowledgeable, and all those kind of goodies that you have. Don't be shy today now. Today ain't the day to be shy, right?
That's all I do. That's all I do is ride horses and paint. So
ride horses and paint. Awesome. So as a child, you always do what you wanted. That was never a question in my mind. What you wanted to be, what you wanted to have, whatever and stuff like that. But you always might have had a struggle in determining what was your authentic space and how to get what you wanted. That was always a challenge, maybe. So tell us a little bit about what inspired what you wanted and the challenges that you had as a youth in order to achieve those goals that you were talking about.
Well, I suppose the challenges and the space, I guess the main thing is to find your place in the world, and then it hopefully would be easier to fulfill your ideals or your vision a bit with more joy. So it's still a process of finding which country and which team fits you best and what is more sustainable so you can do it every year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and consistently.
So, what are some of the goals that you had when you were a small child? Because you had 1,000,001 goals. Uh, nobody ever questioned. And by the way, folks, Dominic is the younger of my two boys, Devon and Dominic, and that's how you got Dom Dev Enterprises.
Well, I think the main goal was to help animals, and then the way to do it is kind of up to you. So I could have been a vet, but then there were too many animals being euthanized for me to survive as a vet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ride horses, and I wanted to be a Grand Prix rider, and in a way that still is the goal for a lot of people who are riders, is to always just improve and be their best. And if they end up being 5-star or at the Masters,
Mm-hmm.
then that's happens. But if you don't make it to that level, then you're still always improving every day.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And art, for now, it helps with animals as well, because you're helping people in culture understand how to relate to animals uh, in
But
a
tell us
more
about this love for
empathetic
animals
way.
then. You
Yeah.
keep mentioning animals. Tell us about this love for animals that you have. I mean, you had,
So, yeah.
no, I'm saying you had like 100+ dogs as a 1, 2, 3 year old, and then as you got around 4 or 5, then you went into statutory, not statutory, what you call them, the horses that you would
Yeah.
we used to buy. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. And
So I always had animals, well, because you all always had animals too, or at least I was born into it. So then
mm,
I already loved dogs, especially. And even the stray dogs that would be at church or at school or would come over to our house and stuff, I would try to take care of them while they're there.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And some animals I would just rescue from the street, like Jenny and Lucy. Her litter were underneath this food truck by Super Value on
mm-hmm.
Prince Charles, I think. And some dogs, like Jackie, we got from Humane Society. And other dogs, people couldn't keep them anymore, so then we took them in for the amount of years. And I had fish and turtles and gerbils and hamsters and rabbits and guinea pigs, as well as horses.
And
So,
people,
yeah.
yeah, people too. You kept people as part of your pets. You had a teacher who my beloved would have said that was your pet, because whenever we went to pick you up, you always was, and she was always catering to you. So he figured instead of you being the student, she must be a student. But then
Which
you
teacher? In
in
grade one or
in,
two?
in grade 1 and 2, yeah, mhm.
Yeah.
In the ELC, yeah, one of your teachers in ELC. I can't remember her name right now for why I'm blocking on it, but
Miss
uh,
Thompson?
not Miss Thompson. There's another one, but that love for animals took him to take you to the farm, Pierre the Putsch's the farm, or barn, or whatever we call it. I'm not sure the real name. And then you got inspired by all the horses there, and then he got you Taz. So tell us about Taz.
So, my grandfather George, or my beloved, got me a pony named Taz when I was 9, and Taz was 8. So, um, Judy and Robin Lee, we all flew over to Florida to look for horses, and he was the first horse that I tried, and he worked out very well and was really smooth, and we trusted each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so we brought him over by the boat, and he was in the Bahamas ever since for like 15 years or so. From September 9th, 6 a.m. 2005 is when he came to the Bahamas.
Sound like you really know your stuff. You ain't playing with that. You know that we down to the date. You know the time too. I figure you probably know that too. Yeah. So this period of time is a long period of time. That's through your whole childhood. And you
Exactly.
seem to, most of us, like me, would have gone on the ballpark and we would have developed friendships with other fellas playing ball and bonds and stuff like that. But you had base championship goals and you develop a bond with Taz. Tell us about that bond.
So he taught me how to jump, and in my sport, it's show jumping. So he took me from like poles, just like groundwork, up until 3 feet or a meter,
Okay.
and that is his height limit for his size. Since he's just a pony. And his teaching allowed me to go to the States every summer from like 2006, 2007, and then 2008 we just visited. But 2009, 10, 11, I was spending like 3 months in the summer and flying like once a month during the winter or fall for competitions on horses that Carriage Hill Farms had in their barn, training with Jane Fantasy. And then I went to Chicago for college and art school, and
But
I'm
before
riding
you go
again.
down, before you go into that part now, we ain't finished the animals part yet. So, what kind of competition are you? Because you just breezed over that, but you competed. What's the organization called? The like the
Well,
junior whatever.
well, it's like in 2011 I won just the regional finals for
Mm-hmm.
juniors, and that was South Florida Honey Jump Association. But it's under the USEF, which is United States Equestrian Federation,
Okay.
and United States Honey Jumper Association.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bahamas has a member of the FEI, which is the International Equestrian Federation,
Mm-hmm.
and so Kathy Pierre and the trainers at the in the Bahamas like helped with that as
Right.
well.
Okay.
So
So
that means you can ride in Europe and represent the Bahamas as well.
okay, cool. So now you mentioned Carriage Hill, and that's with Jane Fennessy and her crew there. They played a pivotal role also in your development, which you going over there every summer thereabouts and pretty much waking the barn and then pick up rides and stuff to ride in this $1 million industry. Because as a, my pockets wasn't that long, but so tell us about that experience and how that impacted where you are today.
Well, it helped learn how to be like a team player with other people and helping them achieve their goals and what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to like, it was a working student, so you groom the horses and help the grooms um, with their like activities at the barn, and you ride some horses or exercise some horses and teach some lesson horses or refine them again, school them. So you really just become a part of something larger than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I don't have to, I still have that ingrained in me to help at the barn. And also that started at Camperdown because we do everything ourselves and
Okay.
learn good horsemanship and groom the horses ourselves and ride them and do everything. So um, that just was really flourished when I went to Carriage Hill, or at least it was not just for myself, but for a
Right.
farm and a team.
Yeah. So now also this dream of being an Olympian, what fueled that, and is that still alive, or is that something that you put in the corner now and say, okay, that was, yeah, we had this potential, we maybe had some challenges and didn't have the same access that other people had, or is that something still available to you?
Well, you don't know because in my sport you can do it until you're 60.
Wow,
So,
I need to pick up that then.
but I'm not at the same age level divisions as for my like there's an under 25 Grand Prix
Mhm.
division, and those are with riders who are like sometimes in contention for the Nations Cups or Olympics.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So having gone to art school and then getting back into writing again
Mm-hmm.
this year, you kind of do notice, as you did when you were under 18, the learning curve and the
Right. Mm-hmm.
levels of participation.
All right. So now stop skipping and jumping a little bit to university life. You started to touch on that. You went off to do film, and then well, before we get to that, university life as a whole, what kind of impact did that have on you? Because before then, you traveled a lot even then, and you went to the leadership programs and the thing in Canada and the rest of those. All of those had a part of exposing you, I guess, to different things. But tell us about university in relation to all those things.
So in high school, I did Global Young Leaders Conference, which is like the model United Nations, as well as this summer course at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario,
Mm-hmm.
which was psychology of healthy relationships, and that was really fun. What else did I do? Then I did the presidential inaugural conference in high school when Barack Obama was inaugurated. So I went to his 2012 inauguration.
Mm-hmm.
So they really help develop relationships internationally or develop a cross-cultural language. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the main thing. Because at our tables, we would just, like choose people to sit at dinner with, so to speak. But
Mm-hmm.
then it wasn't the cliche where everyone stays in their own group because
Mm-hmm.
it's an international conference. So basically,
Right.
everyone at the table was from their own region or country. So you had
Mm-hmm.
a very international um, table all the time.
Right. 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 Cool. And so, and then, like we talked about the big dreams of being the big, uh, the silver screen, the big movies producers and script writers and the like. When you had those type of dreams, and you got involved with Biff and everything else, what um, tell us about that and how that impacted as you step along your journey up to this great life that you live in today.
So in 2012, I screened a short film at the Bahamas International Film Festival with Leslie Van Lawless as the
Mm-hmm.
director. And I was there with Toby Lunn, who was screening Briggity Graham, which is
Mm-hmm.
the at the time a short film, but now it's a feature length, um,
Documentary.
documentary or docu-narrative is the
Right.
genre
Okay.
it's bending at
Yeah.
this point. Um, on Kendall Hanna, the artist and painter at Pop-Up Studios.
Right.
So since I've like basically always supported him whenever I do, I went to film school in Chicago for freshman year because I just knew I could do it. So then I didn't really like the structure of the school for film because it was just commercial and designed for going to
Hollywood.
Hollywood and working
Mm-hmm.
on a set, whereas I wanted to make my
Okay.
own art films and videos.
Mm-hmm.
So I went down the street to the School of Art Institute of Chicago to transfer and study painting.
Mm-hmm.
And the school has an interdisciplinary program, so you can do whatever you want. So I did painting and a bit of film or video theory or studio classes
Mm-hmm.
during the rest of my undergrad. And even in grad school, I had photography or video advisors
Mm-hmm.
in my painting studio and made videos in the
Right.
painting studio.
But at SAIC, yes, yeah, I
Yeah.
always get it backwards. Yeah, and you got it right first time. You develop a lot of relationships with your professors. At first, it wasn't that way. You clashed with them a lot, and then over time, some clicked, and then you just started to develop good relationships with them and build a good basic network and understanding of getting mentorship from them. So, how did that change the direction or the flow or the speed or the pace of which you were growing as an artist?
Well, from the beginning, Michelle Grabner was like one of the classes I took because in 2014 she curated the Whitney Biennial at the Whitney Museum in
Okay.
New York. And so as an undergrad, it was very easy to find who the grad school teachers were. And so I did Michelle Grabner's class called Work.
Okay.
And, I just walked in and drew or painted on paper the whole day.
Not
And
on a desk?
well, yeah, it's on the desk, but like on paper on the desk. And so everyone could just do their own thing. And she was doing her work. So basically, it just was a working space from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
And I'm still in contact with her as we still like were in each other's programs and classes since then, since 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And today is actually her birthday, so I did speak to her today too.
Okay. Awesome.
So that was a mentorship or like a mutual learning or of each other since 2014 until continuing today.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Anybody else was you at SAIC?
Yeah, well, the whole painting department, because I was there for grad school and undergrad, that I had enough time to get to know everyone. So
Mm-hmm.
Galen Gerber was one of the first teachers from sophomore year as well. And he had a class called paint drawing and conceptual drawing. And like he would give you these assignments, and the first assignment, or the most memorable one, was bring back an artwork that is free of subjectivity and
Mm-hmm.
is completely objective. And so everyone came back with their like ideas of what objectivity is,
Mm-hmm.
or basically the ideas of what reality is.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, everyone got it wrong. But the answer was an 8.5 by 11 printer paper blank sheet. If you have from a printer, is an objective piece of art because basically it has no human touch. It only has mechanical touch. But I guess you can also critique that and say that that is still not true because it's a US standard
Mm-hmm.
of printer paper, whereas European standards and other countries have different standards of
Mm-hmm.
printer sheets, and those sheets are decided upon by people.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a market, or I guess a order that you
Yeah.
must use this printer sheet. So
Yeah.
in a way, it all ends up being,
Back to people.
well, a fiction.
Like the Terminator, the movie
Yeah,
The Terminator. Yeah, the machines and the people and the extension and
yeah.
all of that. Yeah. So as we look at that, then before we leave that, is there any one class or one professor or one event moment in time that clearly define the direction that you are going in art today? Because I mean, you're going at warp speed now. Before you were pacing along like a snail, and now you seem to be like somebody freight train hit you from behind.
Well, mm, no. Well, I think because you take everyone simultaneously, and
Okay.
so Candida Alvarez from Puerto Rico, and in sophomore year, I was in her class, and the assignment was to write a review of your own artwork, and I thought that was crazy. Um,
I can imagine.
you have to
And you?
pretend to not be yourself to write about this. So we still took classes up until like grad school, but she was on sabbatical, but she would still visit and say hello and everything.
Cool.
So every teacher has a different energy, but Susanna Coffey, and who went to Columbia,
Mm-hmm.
she really understood the paintings and myself like in from the inside
Okay.
out
Yeah.
rather than from the outside in.
Yeah. We'll talk about some
So
of that
she
after the
really
break.
changed
Yeah.
my practice.
That's good. Yeah. We can touch on some of that outside in, inside out, all around stuff after the break. So after university, you had the privilege of doing something called the OPT. OPT.
Yeah,
I forget what it stands for, but
yeah,
where you have a year to practice of sorts.
yeah. Optional practical training.
There you go. So during that period, you got a lot of time to really express yourself and explore and buck up, and mash your toe, and whatever else goes along with that. Anything out of, in that step of the journey that you want to highlight?
Oh, I don't think so. But I was interning at Iceberg Projects which is the Chicago sort of Kunsthalle or gallery
Mm-hmm.
space, non-commercial, because he's a collector and he just likes to support culture and
Mm-hmm.
people. And so Dan Berger is on the board of MCA, the Museum of Contemporary Art, Chicago, and Director Leslie Lohman, or on the board of that,
Mm-hmm.
president and such. So, which is a museum in New York uh, for the LGBTQ community. And Dan Berger is one of the leading, most legendary doctors
Okay.
of HIV and AIDS from the 80s and 90s. And he was like one of the first doctors to make the HIV cocktail, which is when they mixed all of these different medicines together when the boards of medicines weren't
Okay.
approving it because of
Mm-hmm.
and everything. So I was an intern there doing administrative work and while there were shows being curated. So I met a
Mm-hmm.
lot of great artists on the board there and great artists that were being exhibited there, like Stephanie Jemison.
Right.
And you got to see museum quality artworks at his home and everything. So it was really a great space to open up from uh, institutional bubble into a global, um, very nuanced and specific culture,
Mm-hmm.
and how every like network in the world or genre of things, they have their own hyper specific language or
Mm-hmm.
they become experts. So it's great to see people be an expert in a certain aspect of art's meaning because there's many different meanings that come from artwork.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes we gotta touch on the things that might not have been as uh, successful or favorable or happy about and stuff like that. Because I mean, success isn't about just moving up high, high, high. Sometimes you have failures along the way, and that's why I was wanted you to touch on the OPT segment. But there also in success, there's normally traumatic events that come along that just slap us up a little bit and wake us up and tell us to do something different. Like today is COVID. A lot of things are going to change as a result of the fact that COVID came in and gave us two cowboy slaps and so forth. You had two very close people to you, and I say people in the sense, the real sense of the word people, which is all inclusive, and that is in George William Mackey and Taz. So, how has their life and their death impacted your journey to be able to do what you're doing today?
Well, George left when Taz was like on his way to the Bahamas, and so he never got to meet Taz. So, apart from like the dogs, the Taz was like his lasting gift to me.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of reincarnated in a way for me with Taz. And then
Okay.
Taz passed away this February. So I was horse showing in Florida, and I got like a call that Taz wasn't doing very well. So then I was riding and competing, and I actually won the class that day. And then I had to leave the horse show and go straight to the airport, like in my riding clothes, to then go to
Mm-hmm.
the Bahamas and see him. And then the next day, we kind of worked some magic to get the medicine available for him that afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple days later, I had to leave to go back to the horse show by the next week because
Mm-hmm.
I already had two shows planned back to back. And then from there, I went to New York and then continued for the Europe Art Show tour. So I haven't really stopped or had a
Yeah.
moment.
Okay. So, but during those two deaths, what sustained you? The writing or your art or something else allowed you to mourn through their deaths and to continue on? Because a lot of people, when deaths happen in their life, they just shut down and they go into a shell and they disappear and they retreat and they withdraw. But you just, like, you just
Well,
started to take off.
well, that's because it hurts too much for people to stay the same person that they were when their loved ones were alive, because then you have all the memories if and you continue on. And so maybe it's easier for some people to retreat and enter a deep rest, or I guess which is a way of saying depression. And so
Mm-hmm.
they can come out as a new person and have like a new, fresh life
Okay.
because it might hurt them too much to be um, in their same sensibility that was being informed by their loved one that left. So, but anyway, I think what art helped. Well, horses were when George died. It was 2005. Well, 2006 when he passed in January, the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. But Taz came September 2005. So from then I had the horse to channel my energy and focus into. And then when I went to school, I was without Taz or without the horses. So then art was there to help with that absence or learning how to do horses and art at the same time. But then needing to focus on art
Mm-hmm.
because you're in school. And so in a way, it compounded, it's the art compounds itself because I could have taken a different pace or a slower time in school that allowed me to do courses as well, but then who knows? Um,
A slower pace.
yeah, because at my school I can't do part-time because I'm an
Mm-hmm.
international student, but at my school you can be there in undergrad for like forever if you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm.
but
Thank God for
anyway,
scholarships. But
well, the US students, they have all those student loans and everything in a different
Right.
structure of how they go to school.
Right. Cool. So that sustained you, and so but after those two events, you seem to do the opposite of most people. You seem to like you just get wings beneath you just get air beneath your wings now, and you just started to rise up and become you, whoever was the dom that you are. So you could express yourself in your art and travel where you want to travel, go to all of these different art shows that I'm sure hopefully you will call some of the names, because I can't remember all the names. You called so many to me so far. But in that process, who or what inspired you to move forward, upward, onwards, and to put it all together in the direction that you are going? Is there anything that happened during that period after Taz's death?
Well, New York. I went to the New York exhibition at Andrew Krebs, Donald Ryan, who's a good friend. He started helping connect me with some collectors and curators and sharing my work from the fall of 2020, which is before Taz passed. So that was already scheduled, and so I had to go to New York and at least visit and see it. Then Vienna exhibition in June was scheduled from, I guess, before Taz passed.
Okay.
Berlin and Helsinki with the Finnish Art Institute, with Hans and Satu as the curators. Perhaps they were inviting me when I was horseback riding in Florida.
Right.
And the June Art Fair with the Green Gallery, which has happened in Basel, Switzerland. That's the first time I had to make new artworks. And so I made them here at the farm in France. I made like 10 paintings. And then we had to ship them from France to Belgium and then Belgium to Switzerland.
Cool. So that's about 7 or 8 art shows that you have been in the last year and a half across the globe, pretty much across Europe.
Right. And then next month is FIAC Paris. So I had to make 4 artworks here in Paris for that in July. And in December, there's Nada Miami. So FIAC and Nada Miami and June Art Fair in Switzerland, Basel, they just came out of the spring and summer exhibitions. And then next spring, I have a solo show, my first solo exhibition at Chapter New York. Because the Green Gallery introduced me to Nicole Russo from Chapter New York, when they had an art fair in Puerto Rico a few years back. And I have to make new work for that.
Okay. So we're gonna dig into some of your pieces that you exhibited after we take this commercial break, and hopefully you could elaborate on some of them. Hopefully you get to pull them up. I don't know. Do you see a share screen anywhere on your thing? Or not? Or we could try and do it ourselves. But if not, we'll get it done. So, Madam Producer, you've been listening to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. I'm here with my youngest, Dominique Knowles, as you see. He's an artist, and he's had a very strong journey towards becoming the free man that he is today, and to be able to live his best life. And we're going to talk a little bit more about, we talked about how he built to live his best life. And now we're going to be talking about the content that is driving his best life. So we'll be right back.
Sammy's Chicken. There's nothing like it.
ID Star, God of 242 Elite, and I just want to tell y'all all about a great experience crossing Orlando this past month. We had some fundraisers. We want to thank everyone for reaching out to us. We want to send a special thank you to our coach D, Denzel Knowles. He really did well taking care of us and looking after us for the past month. Everything that we did, it was awesome. We had really great experience. We played plenty games, man. Like, we really played a lot of games. We had some scrimmages in there. Felt like I was in school. We wake up every morning for mobility. Right after that, we probably go do some ball handling. If not, we have game right after. He's putting in about 2-3 games a day. I'm telling you, we play him about 3 to 4 times a week. It was a really great experience. It was well worth it. And I really hope that we continue the ball. I just want to ask anyone that's out there in Freeport or probably just in the Bahamas, still in school, trying to play ball, build on your skill. D1 Development is a really great program. Y'all should try and get out at it. But 242 Elite is a really great traveling program.
Welcome back to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. We're here this evening speaking with Dominique Knowles, who is my youngest son, and he's an artist, and he's living the life, his best life, up in Europe, going traveling from place to place and exhibiting his pieces and expressing himself as he goes. So Dominique, welcome back.
Thanks.
Yeah. I don't know that. I didn't hear you just now. I don't know if that's me or that's you.
Thanks.
Okay, good. That sounds better. So, as we were talking, where's my mouse? We were talking and we were building up to these pieces that I need to share on the screen. But tell us, you had an epiphany. I'm assuming that will allow us to be able to do the things that you're doing today. Lining up all of the dots so that things come to practice, because artists generally struggle and they find it hard to line up all of the dots so that they can even get their work exposed. And then selling it is another journey altogether. You have any comments on that? Hello?
Well, I don't know if the artists struggle. It's more that the structure of the art world makes it hard for people to all be like to all have a livable lifelong studio practice. So in Europe, you have a lot of state funding for art, but then in the US or you have everything's private.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you are in South America or Latin America, like even in Cuba, for instance, right next door to us, you have in the Bahamas, you have censorship, and people are imprisoned for their art or
Okay.
writing and everything like that. So I think it's more about the systems and structures that make it difficult, because art has been here since forever,
Mm-hmm.
for centuries. So, but the structures that we have art circulated in now is not um, eternal or primordial. It's
Mm-hmm.
not from the very beginning of time. So I think it's more about the myths that other industries like to have, that you're a starving artist or whatever, because
Mm-hmm.
they want to maintain power and hierarchy over other realms of being or making in the world,
Mm-hmm.
that reminds them of what they genuinely know, but then don't want to admit to, because um, a lot of industries are just designed for power and capital,
Mm-hmm.
and people don't want to be reminded of things like love or inspiration or alchemy and creativity, and what they used to know as children before they had to become adults.
Okay, cool.
So yeah.
And so, like we talked about earlier, where we talked about you ramped up to a lot of studio work and now exhibits and now traveling and networking and the like. So now we fast forward up to Art Basel. How do you pronounce it?
Yeah, either a puzzle,
Either?
puzzle, art puzzle.
Basel. Okay, Basel. Mhm. Now, if I could share this here, let's see. Is that working? No, that didn't come up right. But boom, boom.
It's working.
It's working. You could see it
Yes,
big.
yes.
No. My producer is saying no. How about now? Is it
Okay.
better?
Yes.
Right. That's better. All right. So talk us through some of these pieces, and hopefully I could change screens, change the pictures as we go, or any particular ones you want us to show.
Well, this one is called Magdalene because it's it's kind of like walking through the desert, and that's what Magdalene did. So I made this one in 2020, like on my last day in Chicago before coming back home to the Bahamas for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think you could see it a little better there. All right, and let's see if we go back here. How do we get back there? Let me do another one. Oh,
This one is called Chiron, which is so this
good.
is a painting of a centaur.
A centaur.
That's Yes, yeah.
Oh,
You know,
the bull, the
yeah.
guy on the bull.
No, no, that's the Minotaur. This is
Oh,
a centaur, which is half horse, half I suppose human.
person. Okay.
Yeah. So it's the connection between horse and rider, or
Mm-hmm.
between human and animal, and voila.
Yeah. Now your work used to be very dark one time ago, and now they seem to be bright. But this one went back a little dark. Um, see, so and this is your horse series, I'm assuming, as we call
Yeah,
it. No?
this is
Yeah.
a one called Bleeding Centaur. So a lot of this in mythology, a lot of the centaurs were, sacrificed. So it was in aesthetic terms one of the only ways to like ethically make a picture of a sacrificed animal
Right.
because it's a mythological animal, so it was a bit
Okay.
better.
So, folks, if you want to, you can ask questions about each of these pieces, or like. I have a question in terms of what is the medium, if that's the word you use to make this. Is
Yeah.
this crayon, pencil, or this is paint or
Crayon.
crayon? Okay, I used to eat them,
And the other ones are oil and linen.
Oh, the other one's oil and linen. Okay.
Yeah.
Oil and linen.
No, oil on linen.
Oh, ooh. Fancy.
Well, yeah.
Let's see here. This okay. This is another crayon.
Yeah.
Oh, I see the horse. Yeah. Okay.
Because remember I used to get the printer paper with pictures of horses on them from George's office and draw on them and everything.
Yeah.
Or I used to be on Microsoft Word Paint application, which is very archaic at this point.
Oh, they don't do that to them. But I'm sure they can come up with some more modern. But I remember getting paper and paint and stuff for you where we had to drive all kind of places to go find these things. So
exactly.
Is life easier now in the art world in terms of getting materials, the right materials that you need?
Well, it's just finding the right people or the right maker that you prefer. So I use like Kremer Pigments, which is like a German company. And then the linen stretches come from France, from a place an hour away from the horse farm, and it's really, really nice.
Okay. So like how big are these paintings, these particular ones?
So these drawings are 8.5 by 11 because it's printer paper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and crayon. So it's basically the same materials you have as a kid.
Right. So, and you're going backwards in time, I guess. So this one here is telling a story, or this is
well, it's called companion. So it's two horses, how they are when you see them in the field, like grooming each other and things like that.
And go forward. And then we have another dark one. Can I see? Where is the picture? Okay. Angle. This one is hard. You got to see it at the right angle in order to see the image. Is that intentional? Yeah. You're too deep for me, man. Yeah.
Well,
what is the significance of that? That if you can't see it. Yeah.
Well, it's a painting, not a photograph. So you move around it, and you can see it change. The horse appears and disappears. It's kind of like a ghostly horse. I call these ones the ghost paintings. But the title is The Solemn and Dignified Burial Befitting My Beloved for All Seasons, which is the chapter or letter title from George Mackey's book, Millennial Perspectives, which is for his good friend state funeral, and he also had George had a state funeral, so I instead of in literature, I have it as artworks.
Right. And so what goes into creating this image?
So I so I have pigments, like dry pigments from different regions, and it's all ochre paint, which is like earth colors. So it's all pigments from the earth. And Morocco has a different tone than, let's say, France does. So I would mix the dry pigments with oil, and then paint the linen over and over so that it has depth to it. Then I would see how to articulate the horse in that atmosphere of color, and just draw the horse and paint the horse again so that the horse is connected to the ground, the painting ground, or the color atmosphere, so it feels like one.
Okay. What is this one's name? So we could maybe look it up somewhere, because it's hard to see on this screen, but it looks very detailed. If you look up very close.
Well, they're all the same title.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But this one is a horse jumping. But in the real world, they're painted, so you can't really see the horses either unless you look for them very deeply.
Okay.
So the photographs are just to get the mood of the paintings across, more than showing you what the painting is.
So in this suite of pictures that you sent, any of the big ones in here that you did, that you had those pictures with which look like they're like 2 football field sizes?
No, I just did paintings that can fit in your car for this presentation in Basel. And then Ambassador Kevlar El Bain came to the presentation, and she's the president of World Health Organization.
Yeah, she's Bahamian.
Yes. I hope she was impressed with our COVID check system.
All right. So that's some of the paintings. It's a little hard to see those, but where can people go and see your works? Do you have any? And I know you all keep changing hosts. What you call them? Webmasters and all that kind of stuff. So how is there?
You like in person or on the internet?
On the internet, so people who are around the world, if they know one of your shows that you have, and I'm sure they would like to come, but I mean, those who not, like those who back in the Bahamas and who don't have a travel visa and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you can search my name and everything will come up. But also the greengallery.biz has an artist profile page on my work, and Emmanuel Layer Gallery from Vienna has an artist page of my work. And in terms of press, there's a picture of the image of my painting in the New York Times about galleries that are not in like a major city. So it's in the Green Gallery again. Right. Garage magazine and Spike magazine. And then if you have the summer 2021 issue of Art Forum, there's a picture of my artwork in the print issue. Things like that.
Okay. Let's see if I can pull this one up. Yeah. So that's you and Ambassador. Can you see that?
No.
No? Okay. Now, that's not the best technical shot, but anyway. That's you and Ambassador. And where were you all?
At the June Fair presentation, art fair in Basel, Switzerland last week. At the Green Galleries booth.
Cool. Yeah, I was looking for the big picture that you had with us in my living room, taken up, and then you had one which was super gigantic, so people could see the scope of going from the super small to the super big. Because one time ago you never did anything small. You only knew things that couldn't fit in or the house.
Like mural scale.
Yeah, you did all of this. So tell us now, where does Dominique Knowles go from here? As an artist, you're now in Europe, somewhere where you have dreamt of being from before you went to college. Your goal always was that you wanted to end up in Europe, and you wanted to go to London first. And I guess you just fast tracked that and skipped them,
Well, they
went straight to
left.
Europe. They left.
Yes.
Okay, whatever that means. Yeah.
Brexit.
Okay. Oh, Brexit. Okay. Yeah. So now you're in Europe, and where does Dominique Knowles go with his art, and how does he inspire a lot of more youth and the like in the Bahamas and around the world to become artists, live their best life, and have an impact on the world as you are having as you go?
Well, from here, so I have to go to Fiac, like literally, at the Grand Palais in Paris, like October 20th, that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Nada Miami, which is another art fair during the first week of December, I believe. With the Sophia is with Emmanuel Leah from Vienna, and
Mm-hmm.
Nada is with the Green Gallery. And spring of 2022 is with Chapter New York in Tribeca. And well, I got into the MoMA Museum, Contemporary Art Museum in Vienna this summer. And I'm just trying to get a rhythm and architecture down, like a studio
Mm-hmm.
in Florida and in France, because I have to go back and forth between Florida and France for the winter, and Florida and summer in France. So Chicago was basically my world where I still have such a good team in Chicago
Mm-hmm.
that help pack the artworks and frame the artworks and photograph the artworks. So I have to find a new team or get the team from Chicago or France or Germany to just ship their support to wherever I am, and I will try to, you know, do the last parts myself
Mm-hmm.
since I'm not in like the city, but in horse country.
Right. Okay.
So it's more me like learning the time and like it's really a good day when I ride and paint in the same day. I think that makes me feel great. And then place. So then you have, I guess, border and visa things. You have to get visas for where you want to live.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to do that. And then you need property or real estate. So I'm also trying to do that to support or build a structure for whatever goals or ideals
Mm-hmm.
or vision I have.
Okay. So how does the young artist follow you or understand your concepts or understand the materials you're using and the why you're using it, and then, like do they have a channel that they could tie into you, whether it's Instagram or whatever, to understand these things so they could develop their craft? Or is that still a work in progress?
Well, Not really Instagram, but I do have an Instagram. It's like Dom Knowles. But school, like pop-up studios or John Cox,
Mm-hmm.
was how I had like the first like opening or invitation or vessel into like the art communities. And then you just become more attuned with whatever community that you're with. And that's how I started in
Mm-hmm.
2013. Well, I guess, but the thing with me, everything always felt natural because we used to spend cool uncle days with John when he first came back from RISD and built
Mm-hmm.
his warehouse at pop-up. So so you know how John built his warehouse at Chippingham by the guest house. It's like I need to do that in
Mm-hmm.
France and in Florida, and then you have your community around you all the time, and it's not really like you, but it's more so people like choosing you
Right. Yeah.
and
Right.
inviting you. So basically, the whole thing is just based on invitation.
Right. So okay. So that's coming once you get a little bit more settled into a more stationary spot than just hopping all over the place that you've been doing at rapid space for the last year, even in COVID. Well, not really in COVID, but
Well,
you
I
know.
had shows during COVID in
Mm-hmm.
person, but they were in Chicago or in Munich, and there were teams in
Right.
Chicago or in Germany or Europe that helped support those exhibitions.
Right. And I see you get some love with shout out from
From Emmanuel,
Emmanuel. Yeah.
yeah.
That's one of your peoples?
He's my gallery is in Vienna.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, shout out to you, Emmanuel. So, well, one day I'll meet them, one day,
Yeah.
So, as you move into this life in France and Florida, is that you pick those only because of the horses, or you pick those for different reasons? Those
Yeah.
two locations, the horses.
Just yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's kind of expected. Mm-hmm. All right. So, Dom, anything you want to say to any of these people out there who are following it? Because a lot of people ask me about you and they want to follow you, and so I know it's moving around. It's kind of hard to say, okay, I'll be here today because you all been moving at warp speed, and things have been making a decision on the spot kind of thing, and the next thing you know, you're someplace else. But like I said, you have Instagram where they could follow you that way, but from a more meaningful way. When you create your two communities in France and Florida, then what would be the next thing after that?
In Florida and France.
Yeah, after you build your communities where people could come and do your residencies and whatever else they do in the art world, other than drink wine and throw paint on the paper. Uh, that's what some people just think that's all art is, but there's a
Well,
lot to it, and I think you could teach a lot of people because people are looking at your art, and especially some of the other ones that we saw, and they're impressed with it. No, I can't draw that.
well, I think it's just being with other artists and your where you live.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And then it like pop-up was there, so then that's how it started. And then pop-up is next to National Organic Bahamas, so then it just continues on, and then the National Organic Bahamas have a history and relationships, and then they brought you on to other cities,
Mm-hmm.
and or you go to school, but then art school isn't always the right model for every artist. So
Right. Cool.
I think it's just find your people and find your place. That's what. Well, Lucy Davis, the equestrian Olympian, I met her this spring because the gallery director from Chapter New York
Mm-hmm.
invited me to Kelly's Well, Allison invited me to a friend's birthday party on the pier in New York this spring.
Mm-hmm.
So then I
Mm-hmm.
went, and Kelly McGee was there. And Kelly is the director of Simone's Ball Gallery. So Kelly had a birthday coming up, so she invited me to her birthday party. And Lucy Davis, who is a silver medalist from the Rio Olympics for the USA, was at Kelly's party. So I got to meet Lucy. And so Lucy told me to just find, she didn't give me like horseback riding tips because, I'm not an Olympian, but the basic structure of horseback riding is the same for all the
Mm-hmm.
levels. She
Except the
just
price
told
of the
me,
horse.
well, who knows? Maybe I ride Olympic horses too, but you just don't know it yet. So
Yeah, true. Yeah.
um,
Mm-hmm.
she just told me to find your place because I was still like traveling all over, and I just graduated last spring,
Mm-hmm.
and that translates to the everything that you do is to find your place.
Right. Mm-hmm. Cool. So anything you want to say to the people back home or anywhere around the world where your friends are and the like? Oh, you said Grammy and Candy.
Yeah.
She's a Dom,
Dom,
you
you're
are
an
your friend.
adventurous soul. Keep up the good works, do well, and keep riding your horses as you have a real connection. I think this is particularly journey is farewell tribute to Taz. Yes, and it is.
Cool. Yeah, anything you want to say to any of the folks out there?
No, thank you.
Yeah. What time is it now in France? You back
Um,
in France, so last time you were in
I'm
Switzerland.
just 6 hours
Ahead?
ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so that's not too bad. Yeah.
And then I have to wake up at 7 a.m. to go horseback riding until 5 p.m.
And you do that?
Yeah.
The nocturnal Dom gets up at 7 a.m.?
I only wake up for horses. So, not for school, not for people, just horses. So, yeah, well, being an artist is a different time schedule than being an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like an athlete rhythm. Whereas art rhythm, it's like there's
When you're in the
dinner
vibe?
and then there's dinner and then there's afters and then there's the after party afters and then you wake up and then there's morning when the museum's open and you go on these tours all day and then you have to make your work and then it's dinner and then it's afters and then it's party and then it's museum and then studio and then dinner. It's like a whole different rhythm.
Yeah, so you have structure in it, yeah. Cool.
So I'm transitioning into my athlete sleep mode.
Cool. Well, Dom, it's been a pleasure having you here and to share and to see you actually, because I mean, you all the way across there where you can reach out and touch you. But
yeah,
I'm sure your Grammy was more than pleased to see your face, see some of your work. We'll post some of the work on the page underneath your link and so forth, so persons could see who might not have seen it so clearly on the screen share that at least it didn't look like it came up right on my screen. I don't know how y'all was seeing it.
Well, the high resolution images, you're just never going to see them clearly because they're paintings and you have to see them in person.
Yes, well, that's the idea.
Well,
everybody
that's the
wants
reality.
to see them. I mean, that's what people want to do, but because they might not be able to do it, then they still would like to join in that journey.
Coming to an art show near you.
Coming to an art show near you, yeah. Maybe summer of 2022, you will be able to come home and do a show, because all of the artists here are asking when you come in.
Well, we had a show at Turn just now.
Yeah, but everybody is still COVID from brain fog, and nothing was happening in the Bahamas. Yeah. Cool. So, like I said, thank you again, and we want to thank all of our audience out there and those who took the time to tune in, because we normally at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we move forward to accommodate your time frame that is a little off course compared to us. 6 hours different and your schedule. But we appreciate that you took that time to do that, even so that we could have this interview, and then this would go down the records, and in time this would be 1 trillion views would be on the show, and people would be studying and say, he said this at this point in time, he said that, and way back then he said this, and look at him, now he's up there with all of the big guns, you know, and we're very proud of you. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what we like to encourage people to do on the show is to pause, think about it intentionally, and to consider where we go from here. What we think, we become. What we radiate, we attract. And what we imagine, we surely can achieve. So we want to change the narrative 242. This evening we've had Dominique Knowles, my youngest son, on the show talking about his art experience, his journey all the way up to the top. And we hope it's been of value to you and that you are able to take some of the nuggets away from it, some of the items that he showed or discussed in terms of the steps in order to get to success, and use it and embrace it and integrate it into your personal life so that you can advance yourselves alike. I'm Dale Happy Knowles, and we're here. It's something to think about. I encourage you all to join us as we go forward and to stay safe and sound. So Dom, you do likewise. If you not vaccinate, isolate. That's what we say. So
Well, I'm vaccinated and in a horse bubble, and I don't leave the farm, so I'm good. Thanks.
yeah, you double. You vaccinating and you isolating. Yeah, you and the horses. Thank you kindly, Madam Producer. Thank you for all your good hard works. We'll see you soon. Maybe I'll put out the private jet and fly up there tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All righty.
All right.
Take care.